Joe. Oh, hold on. We're not. We're good. We're live, but
Okay.
yeah.
Hello and welcome to Pals Pulls. This is the Comics Pals Thursday night show where we hang around and talk comics. No Marco this week. He's out gallivanting.
Surprise,
He's on
surprise.
fuckabout, right? Is that
Oh my god.
walkabout? Sorry, walkabout.
That's good.
No, you
That's,
had it right the first time.
Okay, all right.
That's good. But Tyler's here.
Oh, that's me. Hello. Sorry, forgot my name. Cocktail
So's
effect
Kale.
did not work on me.
What's up? Hot dogs.
And I'm Sean. We've got a good crop of books to talk about today. We've got Batman, One Bad Day, Mr. Freeze, #1.
Sean, show the spine of that. I want to see how thick that thing
Oh,
is.
yeah.
Oh boy, he's big.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've got Junkyard Joe #2, Deja Vu for the three of us, given that we read this a couple of months ago now. But we'll review it anyway. Immortal X-Men. This is #8. I love this cover, by the way. Like, how cool is this?
You mean Sherlock Holmes, #1?
Yeah, right. If you're not watching, you should definitely go look at the cover of Immortal X-Men. It's really good. Who's the cover artist on this?
Is that not Mark Brooks?
Yes, thank you. That is absolutely a Mark Brooks. And then we've got Gold Goblin #1. This was the listener pick. If I had control of the fourth pick in the week, this would have been it. So we're serving the listeners and ourselves a little bit on this one. And I have a lot of things to say about this comic book, I must say.
When you said serving, I'm like, is he gonna say we're serving cunt? But no, he didn't say.
Whoa!
Huh.
Wow, that is
Not like. Never mind. It's fine.
That's intense. That's intense,
listen,
man.
I'm serving that, but that's just a weekly thing. That's not really.
Well, Kale's serving something, and next week you'll be able to pick it up. Kale's got an announcement, and I'm going to turn the floor over to him so that he can make it now. Go ahead, dude.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've lettered a Kamen Rider book. I meant to grab it, and I forgot because I did get it. Booyah! Kamen Rider the manga, Volume 1.
Did you letter it backwards?
Yeah, I did.
Nice.
Let me tell you, it's real hard switching back to normal comics.
I got to imagine there's a difference, right?
I still, when I read stuff, read it the wrong way. Yeah, very excited for people to read this book and get Kamen Rider out into the world. Kamen Rider Kuga is the first writer of the main Heisei era. It came back with a vengeance, like Doctor Who in the 2000s, and this one's weird. It's a weird series. A group of a cult of aliens decide to murder people, and only one man can stop them.
Is it this Kuga fella?
It's this Kuga fella. But also next week, so I did the lettering for this one. I'm very proud of it. You'll notice if you look at it that when it comes out, if you got Adam, you'll notice the same thing. It says somebody named Jessica Burton is listed in there. It's just my pen name. Don't worry about that. But I also quickly want to shout out Kamen Rider 01, which is the hot new title from I think it's Stonebreaker Comics. They're working together with Titan to introduce the Reiwa era of Kamen Rider into the world. That's the era we're in now. In terms of, like, I don't know, the Japanese emperors or something. It follows the show almost directly. Kamen Rider 01. It's about a dude who is the CEO of a cybernetics company, and when he becomes Kamen Rider, his mind is taken away and is put into a robot, and that robot is Kamen Rider.
Cool.
So the show is all about the balance between AI and humanity, and it's really good. And so in this one, you'll see the cover on the screen. He fights a brand new original villain called Ragnarok. I'm
Awesome.
really excited about it.
Yeah, congratulations to Kale. That's awesome. If you want to support Kale, you should definitely pick that up next week, right?
Next week.
Yeah, next week.
Treat yourself to read it while you're avoiding your family at Thanksgiving for you Americans out there.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Or if you have a good family dynamic, read it with your family.
Congrats.
Who doesn't love a superhero tale? You know,
Marco. Speaking of Thanksgiving, I do have a programming note. Next week is Thanksgiving, next week, Thursday. And so we will not be doing the show on Thursday. We will be doing it Wednesday. So come hang out with us next Wednesday live on Twitch and YouTube at 6 p.m. Eastern to talk some comics. Talk comics, then eat some turkey, you know?
I was going to say, are you guys eating turkey?
I'm not a big turkey guy.
Yeah. Wait, you're not a big turkey guy?
Nah, I don't like that it tries to put you to sleep. That's shady.
Dude, the itis, it's real.
I don't need that tryptophan, you know, like
I love it.
I'm gonna have chili.
All right.
So
I mean, it's a winter. Yeah. It's a good. You shifted into soup mode already there, Cal?
oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's cold here.
I'm more of a stuffing and potatoes kind of guy, you know? Last year I had quail and sushi. That's what I had last year.
Wow. Join us on Patreon at patreon.com/thecomicspals. Support your boys. Get some pretty cool content out of it. We've got a lot of stuff over there. Go ahead and check that out. And for everything else, at the Comics Pals, you know the drill. Let's talk comics. Batman One Bad Day, Mr. Freeze, #1. Jerry Duggan, Matteo Scalera, and Dave Stewart. Darren Bennett on letters. Can I say, what a creative team. That is a great creative team. And, you know, I love Mr. Freeze. I think, you know, I love Mr. Freeze as much as the next guy. Mr. Freeze is cool. I can't think of a Mr. Freeze story that came out after I started reading Batman comics. I can't think of one. He's kind of not really a presence, which is really unfortunate to me. So I was looking forward to this one, probably within the top 3 of the One Bad Days that have been announced. And I have to say, this did not disappoint. I thought this was really cool. I really enjoyed this. It was weird to see Jerry Duggan playing in, you know, a completely different sandbox. I don't know that I've read him writing Batman before, but everything felt right, except that I'm not sure how I feel about the change to Mr. Freeze here. Like, I'm not sure whether I want to criticize it for deviating too far from what we know of the character, or if it's actually a smart addition to the character that I like. I haven't made up my mind on that.
What in your mind is the change?
Okay, that's a great question, because it might not actually be a change. It might be a change that I'm thinking because I don't have as much comics familiarity, but I'm thinking that the change is that Mr. Freeze actually was not a good man. He wasn't a good husband, and that his wife didn't exactly want to be with the man that he was, and that he was doing this as much to keep her finally caged as much as it was to bring her back. That this isn't what he wanted, but that this is he was kind of happier with her this way, having her caged, than he was when she was really alive and free.
I don't think these things are in continuity, so I think that's fair to make that, because I agree that's a change. That's a change away from what we're used to in the animated series, which kind of like worked its way into the lore of Mr. Freeze.
Heart
Heart
of
of
Ice.
Heart of Ice, yeah. but I'm pretty sure these aren't in continuity. So it's like, if it's not, have fun.
Well, I want to say, like, that's fine. That's okay. If it's not in continuity, even if it is, I'm not really thinking too much about that part. I'm just thinking about what it says about Mr. Freeze's character and how much I like that compared to what I have already known and understood about him. And I want you guys to speak to how that makes you feel about Mr. Freeze. But I should say, the work here is all quality. So I'm not criticizing that. Or I'm not even sure I'm criticizing at all. I just want to have the conversation.
I will come out of the gate and say this was my pick of the week. I really liked it.
Yep.
It's hard
Absolutely.
for me to have. It's hard for there to be a Matteo Scalera drawn book and it not be my pick of the week that week. I fucking love Scalera and the way that he draws this really classic looking Batman. Like the colors are. It's animated series colors. Am I right? Like besides
it's close.
It doesn't have a gold
close.
emblem, but like the actual suit colors feel like it.
Yeah.
And this kind of reinvention of a classic Robin suit without it being the creepy, briefs.
They're not.
It's like a weird. It almost feels like a modern day Damien suit, but we find out it's Dick at the end.
Yeah.
But that change to Freeze, I think I liked a lot, because it proves that he is kind of a bad guy, like he's bad in the sense that like he's a bad husband, is he Arkham level Joker villain? Maybe not. But he's not, he's nice guy, TM, you know what I mean? Like, he's this super controlling, and that subtle shift of like, the reason he keeps Nora frozen is not to help her, it's to help him. It's just shifting it 1 degree the other way. But because of that, it recontextualizes the whole situation.
Yeah.
It's him really controlling his wife and preventing her from, being out living this life that he doesn't care to live. He's consumed in his work, but he doesn't want his wife to be, out there. He's jealous. He accuses her of seeing, he sort of accuses her of seeing somebody else. I really like that. And I also liked how it gave Nora a little more character. Than we're used to seeing. But at the end, like I still think the core of him is still there. The core of him is that he does love his wife. It's just a little more skewed. Like even at the end where he makes that choice to give that research to Robin, he does it because his wife told him to make a change. He's still doing something for Nora. He's just a little more of a fucked up person, which I kind of like. I really enjoyed this issue. Yeah.
See, I think it was a bit more nuanced than a change. In the bits where he's accused of like holding her hostage or whatever. I sort of read that as someone who is, he's different from his wife in that, he's like an introvert or whatever. But then like it really got me when Robin accuses Freeze of being manipulative or whatever. And but I also had the thought that this is someone who doesn't fight, when like one, he's a scientist. And when he's not being a scientist, he's like a tank, So I guess I read it as, this is a dude who is trying to live up to a bad guy reputation, and he's frustrated that he's getting the shit kicked out of him by an 8-year-old. But I didn't see it wholly as like a change to the character. It all felt pretty in line to me. I could definitely see how Nora's family or whatever would have problems with Freeze. But this felt in line to me.
See, my thing is that I always felt like and this is a great comment also by Comic Boom in the chat, referring to the fact that they feel less sympathetic to Mr. Freeze after this issue. And I agree. at the core of the Mr. Freeze character is a creepiness that he would even do these things, right? That he would have his wife in this, frozen state, but also a sympathy for him that he's doing it out of love and that his criminality is born out of a desire to genuinely help his wife. And it's more of a statement on his love for her than a weird obsession. This takes him into creep territory in a way that to me does change the way that I look at the character. But at the same time, it probably does add an interesting wrinkle that reveals more about the character. So I'm in a torn place where I like it, but I don't. But that's why I love this issue so much, is that it's made me think, and we're having this conversation about this particular moment. I think it succeeds in that way, regardless of whether you like this evolution of the character or not. But let's talk about some of the other stuff, because there's a lot to like here. The dynamic between Batman and Robin and Alfred is very fun. It feels like Jerry Duggan is having a lot of fun writing in this particular era of Batman's life.
Especially Alfred.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Assuming he could have made any decision he wanted as far as like which era to choose.
Yeah.
He chose this for a reason, for sure. And you mentioned, Tyler, the Batman the Animated Series. This would have been that time frame. A young Dick Grayson.
Yep.
Absolutely. This is that time frame. So meant to evoke, I think, that time and the most relevant that Mr. Freeze has ever been, for sure. I've always enjoyed the Mr. Freeze Batman dynamic. I like the idea that Mr. Freeze is the one villain that Batman would rather help, like in a genuine way. He'd rather help him. He doesn't want them to have to fight. And in that way, it is personal. There's a moment where Mr. Freeze says, "What about this could ever be personal?" And I think Bruce, I don't know. I don't know if this is an overread, but I think that Mr. Freeze is like a warped version of Batman or of Bruce Wayne, in the sense that, like, what would Bruce do to be able to have the chance to bring his family back? Could he go as far as to be a Mr. Freeze? Would he kill? Would he do all these things? The answer is obviously no, but it's the way in which Mr. Freeze becomes a mirror version of Batman, in that every Batman villain is kind of that. That's the way that Mr. Freeze is that. And I love the idea that Batman genuinely wants to save him. And because Mr. Freeze is so desperate to save his wife, him and Batman have to be at odds, because Mr. Freeze has no limit on what he'll do, and Batman does. I love that.
A couple other things I liked about this too, and I just looked it up because I knew it rang a bell, because I knew Jerry Duggan did write Batman. He wrote Batman 34 during New 52, which was between Zero Year and Endgame during Snyder's run, with Scalera. I knew it rang a bell. Yeah, where the serial killer in the beginning of this, the Meek, is in that. So it's a one-shot story about that character.
Wow.
Yeah, back in 2014.
That's a good catch, dude.
Because this was during Black Science, and I was like, oh shit, Scalera's doing Batman. I remember it was like kind of like a big deal in my head. So I knew that rang a bell, but like this had some great Alfred, like you said. The whole Christmas tree thing, this is a Christmas tree full of batarangs, was dumb as shit. I loved it.
Starro at the top of it.
Yeah, which I kind of felt bad for Starro. I'm like, really, guys, come on.
Yeah.
But this thing had one of the things in it that I love in Batman stories, and that's an action figure costume. It had the heat suit.
Yep.
Which I love when Batman just busts out some ridiculously ugly costume that's only for very specific reasons. Like Lego Batman brought it up, where he's sorting through all of his suits, and it's like, oh yeah, it's just a way of selling another action figure. I love when Batman does that stupid stuff. I was a big fan of that.
Yeah, that was good. If this feels like a very complete Batman story. Like very complete. Yeah. Like if you took this, if this was animated, right? And if the new animated series thing that they talked about doing, if this was an episode of that would feel like a really great episode, I would say.
Yeah.
Like this is complete.
As somebody watching the series again currently, like after we talked about Kevin Conroy last week, I agree. I would actually say this is probably my favorite one of these One Bad Day things. I really like Riddler, but I think this is more my speed.
Now, I'm going to strike back at that. Does this hold up to the premise?
I think it
I
does.
think it does.
Yeah, because we see his one bad day. It doesn't have to be in present the bad day, but we did see his bad day.
But is the one bad day premise meant to evoke the Killing Joke, which is the Joker story, where he ultimately defeats Batman? To me, again, and I think we've had this verdict with most of these, with the exception of the Riddler. I think he's a tremendous Mr. Freeze story, and I would agree it's certainly a bad day, but I don't know that it's the bad day.
See, okay, all right. And now that you've put it that way, I have an answer to that is still, I think it works, but it makes me rethink the Penguin one, because the way this one ends, Mr. Freeze may be back in Arkham, but I still think he won because he got to evolve. He got to do the right thing. He got to be a better man. And I think that is a win within the context of this character. Look at the way it ends. This dude is making snow angels, and he's making snow angels. I feel like I feel like because of that, and because it does show us his genuine one bad day. What started all of this. I think it succeeds. Tyler, you're muted.
I agree. I think it I still think it's a whole marketing ploy that only the first issue really had to deal with. Where I don't think I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these stories were sitting in a drawer somewhere, as like just ones they can just punch in wherever they needed to. But yeah, I mean, it fits the one bad day thing. Does it fit the whole like, oh, this is Mr. Freeze's Killing Joke? Not really, because his Killing Joke wasn't even a comic. It was an animated series. So maybe this is a way of doing it as like, oh, this is his comic version. Because like, in terms of the comics, I think this is one of the more definitive stories I can think of in comics. Yeah, he's been really, like, he's been in movies, he's been in animated shows, and that's where like his iconic moments have been. Outside of like, I could think of when they redid him in I think it was like New 52.
Yes.
Where he had hair all of a sudden. That was it was something. And then like the White Knight stuff. They have some stuff there with him, but
yeah.
In recent memory, like this is like, oh, Freeze focused, Freeze centric. Also, A Christmas Story. Great timing, guys. Great timing on that one. So
yeah.
Well, it's Freeze. I mean, that's gonna happen. So according to howtolovecomics.com, which is the closest thing I could get to a definitive answer without spending a ton of time on Google, One Bad Day is a series of 64-page one-shots which revolve around Batman taking on one of his classic villains over one day. DC Comics has promised that One Bad Day will tell definitive tales for each member of Batman's Rogues Gallery. So maybe I've been approaching this incorrectly.
Nah, no, they marketed it. They definitely marketed it evoking Killing Joke, and they 100% did. Yeah.
Yeah, it said this says that there is a connection, but it's supposed to be inspired by.
Right. Which, if DC had said that, I think people would be taking these differently.
Yeah.
But I would almost prefer they just hadn't done all that marketing, but I get it. Money talks. This is an obvious pull. It's a phenomenal comic book. Really, you should go pick this up. I think this might be one of my favorite single issues of the year.
Yeah. We have a Comic Boom on YouTube on the live stream asking, do you think this would be popular enough to become the mainstream interpretation of it?
I think it is.
I guess for comics, but like I don't think they've really been pushing it on the advertising thing. Like my Twitter feed is not full of this. I still think it'll be an animated series. If you're asking specifically, is this the comic book definitive? Maybe. It's a little too early to tell, I feel.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I don't I think Mr. Freeze is on ice. To be honest.
He's always on ice until I need a Christmas special. Like
And it's unfortunate. So from YouTube, we've got Roboters100 who says, compared to the others, I actually enjoyed Freeze's One Bad Day, which fleshed out a little more of Victor and Nora's backgrounds. Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. I haven't read Riddler yet because I suck, I guess. I got to get around to it. It's at the top of my pull list, I promise.
You said that for a month.
That's true.
4
Actually,
months.
for
God of War came out, Kale. God of War came out. The pull list is at the bottom of his to-do list.
Last week?
Yeah. I'm not even close to beating it. Let's shift gears and talk about Junkyard Joe, my new favorite robot. So Junkyard Joe number 2, Jeff Johns, the incomparable Jeff Johns and Gary Frank, joined by Brad Anderson on colors with Rob Lay on letters. We read this many moons ago because Mad Ghost provided the review copies back when we spoke to Jeff Johns. You can go listen to our interview with Jeff Johns, which was a 2-hour-long epic. The definitive Jeff Johns interview is how I like to think about it.
You notice how other YouTube channels started getting him? It's like,
Yep.
yeah, all right.
Did they?
Yeah,
I did notice that.
So I saw a couple.
Incredible.
Yeah. But we were the first. So this issue takes us into, I guess you could say, like our real life present day, but not the present day of Geiger. So keep that in mind. The first issue of Junkyard Joe took place during the Vietnam War, and that saw Junkyard Joe basically be an angel for these soldiers who didn't make it. They all died but one. Muddy Davis is the only one that survived, and we see him now in the year of our Lord 2022-ish, where he has had a successful career as a comic book cartoonist,
Comic
strip cartoonist in the Sunday Funnies, and he is retired now, and just trying to live his best life without his wife, which means he has no life. And then
thanks.
I know, right? Sorry, dude. All right, but he's old. Like, it's kind of over.
It's fine. It's fine. Just go past it.
Yeah. And then he gets a visitor. He gets a visitor named Junkyard Joe. This is a phenomenal issue. I really loved issue 2 of Junkyard Joe. I think on any other week, this would have been my pick of the week. I love Joe. Like the way that they show him, you can see the reflections of things in his eyes. Those are such smart moments and choices by the creative team. When Jeff Johns was on the show, he talked about how one of the things that they wanted to achieve with Junkyard Joe was that the character could kind of be whatever you wanted him to be, and you could put your thoughts onto him. Well, when I look at him, based on the way he's presented, I think of him as a lost soldier. You know, he's a soldier who survived the war just like Davis did, and he doesn't know what to do. You know, he doesn't know what his life trajectory has to be. And so in this issue, he goes back to the only person that he really knows, the only person left. And we don't quite know why. That's not filled in yet. But I am so on the hook with this series. I love it.
What sold this book to me is the moment when we know that Joe understands that Muddy has lost his wife, and he takes off his helmet and he bows his head or whatever, and I was like, okay, that's what this book is, and that was it. That sold this entire series to me. Because of that, I will be reading this.
Same for me. And I was like, oh, all right, this is going to be a nice slower piece on, grief and coming to terms with coming back from war as told through a robot's eyes. And then the next couple pages are like, no, there's some secret shit going on too.
Yeah.
Don't worry, there's actual plot in this plot. So yeah, you can have that too. I love this. Issue 3 though is where it gets juicy. No spoilers, but
Yeah.
that's where it's like, ooh, that's where it feels good. But I agree. I love the fact that Joe is this mimic almost for Muddy and the other, for the reader, honestly. And that other the injection of the family too was. I'm getting that right. That was in this issue, right? I skimmed through it again just to reacquaint myself.
Yep.
I think is really good because now it adds strangely stakes. Like where are the stakes when it's just Joe and this guy who's lost everything? Like sure they could build that, but now you have this like innocent family with these likable, more modern archetypes of the kids and stuff. So it's like, oh, there's something to care about as well here too.
Well, except for little Cartman there.
True, yeah.
I think Jeff Johns has been criticized for making popcorn comics over the years. Go ahead.
That brings me to a question I had. Do you guys think Jeff Johns is the Steven Spielberg of comics?
Oh,
that's an interesting thought. And I guess maybe like if you only considered the DC work, maybe you could make that argument. Jeff Johns is very much a student of comics, the way that I feel like Spielberg was a student of filmmaking, and makes quintessential comics the same way Steven Spielberg makes quintessential movies. I think Jeff Johns is the child of comic books. I really do. The way Spielberg's the child of movies. I agree with that. I do think that. I don't think there's anyone else who more represents that reality.
Mark Waid says hi, but
okay, all right, Mark Waid. He's in that conversation.
More than him though.
I would say this would push me over to like, oh, this feels very Spielbergian.
Yeah.
He's there's a bit of a meta commentary with like this is a comic book creator as well, that he's injected in there. Which if Spielberg makes another goddamn movie about another filmmaker, like the one that just came out, it's literally his story growing up. But I like that. I like that. And it's also like the stuff that he chooses to talk about is very Americana.
Yes.
It's this, some would argue maybe a little more white centric, idealized version of what Americana is, but I would argue that's Americana. I can see that as well in this, but good point.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say is that, Jeff Johns often gets accused of making popcorn comics, but I think if you look at this, for me, there's a lot going on here. Across the first two issues, I feel like there's a lot going on. It's tugging at my heartstrings, but I also think that, there's more under the surface of this entire Geiger verse. In the interview, I got Jeff to talk a little bit about the fact that, like, yeah, this is about the reckoning of America's violent history, and there's layers there. So let it no longer be said that Jeff Johns doesn't know how to layer his stories. There's more than just Green Lantern ring action going on. This is phenomenal.
I'm
10 out
excited
of
to
10.
get to the issue that I haven't read, 4. So I have another month, but I guess the new year will bring new Junkyard Joe to me. I'll be able to see 3 in color though, so that'll be nice.
Yeah,
dude. Yeah, and without the editor notes in
I
it.
couldn't read the editor notes. I'm curious if we can go back and see the editor notes and see what changes, but never mind. That's for us.
Yeah. I recommend grabbing the trade, the Geiger trade. I haven't pulled the trigger on that one yet, but I have the physicals, so I'll get around to it. I know that was from you, Kale.
Yeah.
Thank you. I didn't.
I just thought I'd answer your question. Roboter says Johns can see in between the panels. I think his bread and butter is being an architect for event comics and seminal issues that puts the character's best foot forward. Yeah, I think that's what he's shown us thus far. I like that we're seeing something different in the Geigerverse, but everything that Jeff Johns writes feels important, even when it's not in DC. That's how I feel. So,
I also like the roadmap for the Geigerverse going forward. It seems like each of these things will be very specifically different.
Right.
So that's nice to see him kind of flex different muscles going forward as well.
Yep,
Like
with different different artists as well.
Yeah, Redcoat, which he described as maybe being funny. Didn't he?
Yeah,
a little more swashbuckly. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Well, let's jump into the past. Let's go into the distant past that is featured in Immortal X-Men #8. Kieran Gillen, of course, steering this ship steadily for the last 8 issues, with Mikel Bandini on art, colors by David Curiel, Clayton Cowles on the letters. This is a puzzle for me. I don't know that I dislike this comic book, but I felt like there wasn't anything actually here, and I actually felt frustrated because I thought Kieran Gillen, and I say this with all due respect, spent the entire issue just trying to be clever, more so than trying to tell a story.
This felt like it was answering questions that maybe the greater X-Men mythos would need or would have. You know, like Mr. Sinister's origin, essentially. Why is the character named what's Destiny's real name? It's the
Irene Adler.
Why is she named after a Sherlock Holmes character? Oh, wait a minute. So I feel like there's questions answered that have nothing to do with his ongoing run. It feels like, yeah, we know Sinister is going to be a problem, and I know the Sinister event is coming up next month. So this felt like a weird stopgap that has like literally nothing to do with the previous 7 issues. And I just feel like this whole Immortal X-Men thing has been hampered by event after event, quite literally. So like I thought the issue itself was good, but in the placement of it, it's like, all right, why? Like all it really does is add context to some of the dynamics here between Mystique, Destiny, and Sinister, which maybe we need that going forward. But I felt it was a little weird.
I'm done with the let's be cute and make a reference to something that exists now so that you guys will get it. SX Men? Really?
That was a little
SX Men?
Capital C cute, yeah.
That's one of the only things that writers do in comics that I can never accept, because it's just like the nth degree of not even fan service, just like no one who likes that. We all know what you're doing, right? Like it's not.
It's like when I make a reference or a joke on the show that only I get, and it's only for me, you know. So like I get it, Kieran, I get it.
I love Destiny and Mystique. Like, I think I speak for most people who've been reading these books when I say that they've been 2 of the most interesting characters, regardless of whether you agree with their choices or not. But when I think the X line needs forward momentum more than ever since the Hickman stuff started, this is not the issue that I think this series needed. Everything that happens here, like Irene Adler's or Destiny is Irene Adler because of X. And yeah, she really is, that character from Sherlock Holmes. Like, we all already inferred that. And it's not so explicit that if you don't know that stuff already, that this means anything to you. If the name Irene Adler means nothing to you outside of comic books, what would you have learned from this? About that? Nothing, right? And SX Men, that's an irrelevant thing. I kind of feel like we know all we need to know about Sinister's past. We know all this. What don't we know?
We know about these extra
that's the only thing we don't
suit
the
gem
things. Yeah, that's the only thing we didn't know. But like the idea that Sinister has clones is not something that
that part we knew. Yeah.
Right. Sinister it's like telling me like, oh, the Jackal deals with clones. Did you guys know that? You know, like,
and by the way, before you knew he was dealing with clones, he was dealing with clones. Yeah.
Also, like, as soon as we saw like the reveal at the last page of the cloning vat tubes or whatever, flashback to that friggin' location in Marvel Snap, I was like, yo, that's my favorite one. That's one of my favorite ones.
That's funny.
But also, it's like that didn't look contemporaneous with the times. I was like, all right, you kept everything in time, and then it's like, oh, but he can make cloning bats all of a sudden. Like you really wanted to stick to the time frame there, and then you kind of threw it away at the last second. But whatever.
Yeah,
They show his butt in this. That's something for you guys there if you want some sinister cheeks.
some sinister booty.
All cheeked up on a Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, look, in response to Robotters in the chat, I love Sinister, and I'm endlessly thrilled with seeing the things that Sinister does in the margins. But it's a time and place thing. And I just don't feel like this was the time or the place. And again, I think the X books have kind of been languishing. They got swept up in AXE, which wasn't, in my opinion, wasn't very good. And then this just doesn't really add anything too dynamic. The work is always good. That's never the problem with Gillen. I just don't know that I came away from this knowing anything that I was curious about or caring about the things that the book is telling me in the moment. I'm actually way more compelled by finding out what the heck are they going to do with Sinister after the stuff he did in AXE Judgment Day. Where's all that going? So this feels like a derailment.
It feels like filler and setup for what's coming, and that's all. Like this didn't feel like I think it is probably supposed to be like a pause after this massive event or whatever.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Yeah, like you're right. Like it's fine, but it's not what the flagship book should be.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
I'm having a lot more fun with X-Men currently than this, which was the inverse previously.
Which I think is funny because X-Men is the superhero comic more so.
I mean, me like a superhero book. Surprise. Yeah.
Sure, but I think we all anticipated, which has been largely true of this series, that it would have more depth and be the more compelling book, whereas X-Men would be more fluff. I actually think some of the mystery stuff that X-Men has done has been really good too. Whereas I don't know, Gillen has a lot of rope with me, especially in this particular series. But for me, this was a bit of a stumble. The art though is real good. I really enjoyed the Bandini art here.
I like the how Bandini kind of displayed Mystique's powers. It was always like they always put a shot in of her mid transformation that I enjoyed.
Yeah, that is cool. We all know what Mystique does, but showing it in that way, I think if nothing else, it just made her powers a little bit more visual. Because just turning into another person from panel to panel is not that visually compelling. Showing that in between time, that's kind of more interesting. So yeah, I agree with that. I'm gonna say pull, I guess. I mean, if you're already on the hook, you know what you like or don't like about this series. This issue is not bad. It didn't resonate with me. But I'm still enjoying the overall Immortal X-Men ride. So this is just a miss in an overall good series to me.
This feels like, and I'm making an anime reference here, which surprise. But this feels like filler, like a filler episode.
Yeah.
Like when the anime is, I guess too close to being contemporary with the manga. I think that's what Naruto did it. That's all I remember. I'm in over my depth. Marco's not here to save me. Yeah.
It's a beach episode.
Yeah. Absolutely. Or those random X-Men the Animated Series episodes where they would flash back to something irrelevant. Like, hey, remember that time we went Sorry?
Like every episode?
Well, every episode in the third season, that's for sure.
Yeah. They treated this show like a soap opera. They had to recap everything during the episode.
Hey, listen, to me, that's one of the best animated shows ever.
Oh, I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
That first season is so good. Oh my God.
Pass for me.
Me too.
Pass.
I've been out on Immortal X-Men for a while, and it still hasn't done anything for me.
Mm. Yeah, maybe I was being a little generous with the pull. You probably wouldn't be missing anything if you didn't read this issue. Like in terms of knowledge you need to have going forward, you probably would be fine if you didn't read this one. Let's talk about Gold Goblin #1, by somebody who's been on a bit of a hot streak lately, Christopher Cantwell,
Hell yeah.
with art by Lan Medina, Antonio Fabella on colors, and Joe Sabino doing the letters. This is the return of Norman Osborn to a glider. He is the Gold Goblin now, and he is in his redemption arc. But my question is, and I think the question this issue is posing to some degree, is does a character like Norman Osborn deserve a redemption arc? Guilt is the antagonist of this comic book. Norman Osborn is struggling with the sins of his past, and so much so that he's being confronted by that in projections. You know, the scene that I think floated around social media as buzz for this comic book, where Norman is on the elevator riding with the ghost of Gwen Stacy, or the image of the ghost of Gwen Stacy, deep down into the pits of the building that he is in, aka his soul. I thought that's all great, but I have a fundamental problem with this comic that I can't shake, and it's the reason why I will not be buying issue 2. There can't be a redemption arc for Norman Osborn. I do not believe, for me, that a character can kill the primary love interest of their foe and be redeemable. The idea that Peter and Norman are sharing page space and just hanging out, talking, nope, I can't do that. I can't do it. I don't care what the reason is. This is not acceptable to me. And although the craft here is very, very good, and I respect it a lot, I can't accept the premise. And so there's no reason for me to spend $4 on this comic book going forward.
So
What do you? He had his sins eaten.
is that what the kids are calling it these days?
I fuck if I know.
I guess the Rim Goblin doesn't really
Oh, I don't like that.
roll off the tongue.
I don't know what that is, but I don't like it.
Okay, so Sean, I'd argue you're saying no, I don't want to read this book because of the premise, but I'd argue that the premise is going to be that no, he can't be redeemed. If you read the letters in the back, it talks about how, like, oh, Norman got his sins eaten. Is he perfectly fine now? And Cantwell says no, he's not. He is still unhinged. It's just skewed different.
Right.
And I think I like that idea. I like the way they use Norman's guilt here is brutal. It is the amount of times they show Gwen Stacy dying. It's nonstop. It is throughout multiple pages, multiple panels. You see the snap, you hear the crack. It's very it works in a really messed up way, because they're really shoving it down your throat. Like, oh, you're going to have to relive this constantly as the reader, because Norman is constantly having to relive it. And that idea, like, oh, he's finally feeling guilt for the first time. I don't think that necessarily means he's going to be redeemed, but I think it's an interesting wrinkle to the character. I mean, he's still seeing the Goblin, you know, that's still there. In my mind, it's like, oh, his sins have been kind of eaten, and he's been healed in a way. But I think this is only just the beginning of a new Goblin. You know, I think that's the whole point of Norman, is that he cannot escape who he is. He cannot escape the Goblin. And I think this story is going to be the genesis of that. You know, whether or not he's a hero, no, can't happen, won't happen. Did you read Kelly Sue DeConnick's and Emma Rios? They did a Osborn mini.
I did not.
It was post Dark Reign. Fantastic shit. It's just like, oh no, this is pre Dark Reign, I believe. It's weird. Real good stuff. And I love a good Norman Osborn, you know, limited or mini series. I think it's a great character that writers can really chew on, and I think Cantwell is a great choice for that. The reason why him and Peter are so chummy, we don't really know yet. In Amazing Spider-Man, we had that time jump. And between that time jump, something happened between them that Peter's at least accepted that Norman is trying to be a changed man. So Peter, being the nice guy he is trying to accept that. I like this a lot. I thought this is great. Green Goblin is like top 3 characters for me. So, yeah, I will definitely be sticking with this. It's fun.
I was kind of bored by this.
Really? Okay.
I personally feel like we've seen this before. I have, a pretty long history with Spider-Man comics, and I've seen Norman Osborn be guilty. I've seen him be chummy with Peter. I've seen him kidnap Peter and then be chummy with Peter and then feel guilty and then turn the corner, all in the same issue. The only thing that's new here is the costume to me. And then him going up against, Jack-o'-lantern or whatever, like, okay. I mean, it just seems like the Spider era to right now, it feels like it's all goblins, and Spider-Man's even a goblin right now. What the hell is going on? To me, the guilt here, it's all just work. I mean, it's a good examination, but it's all stuff we've seen before.
What reason could Peter possibly have to say, okay, yeah, Norman Osborn is someone I should operate with? Like, I think not showing us that is making this even harder for me to accept. And like everything that you said, Tyler, is compelling as a story. But the way the issue's constructed, I feel like it's asking you, maybe it's not asking you, maybe it's just the nature of the way human beings take story in. Or maybe it's just me. I think the book is saying, hey, here's a guy that maybe you should have sympathy for. And I can't do that. We see him agonizing over the way he feels. He's the primary POV. So if he's agonizing, I feel sympathetic. That's my natural human reaction. And I don't want to feel that way. It's not a sin on the part of the creators to do this. I'm not saying that this can't exist. I'm saying that I draw that line right there at sympathy for Norman. Done deal. No way. He's arguably the worst person that Peter Parker has ever encountered. No way.
Because the flashbacks that Norman has of all the things that, he's ever done, like all of those things, like Peter was also a victim in all of that.
Yeah.
Like, aside from the victims of all of that. He did all of those things directly to Peter.
I wasn't feeling sympathy for him, though. I was maybe feeling empathy for somebody feeling guilt, but I'm rooting for Norman to, like, not be good at the end of this. Like, I'm rooting for his downfall. I don't like seeing him like this. Mostly because I love Green Goblin. He's one of the most evil fucking characters in Marvel.
And that's another.
I'm just coming at it from a different angle.
Yeah, that's another thing for me. It's just like, well, he's gonna be the Green Goblin in 10 more minutes. Like,
dude, the cover has the Green Goblin right below it.
That's it. Like,
I want to be a better comics fan than what I'm saying right now. I want to be a better consumer of, media than to say, can't accept the villain going good. Can't read this anymore. But I come on here to tell you what I really think, and that's where I'm at. Like, I do think this was quality, and I'm sure that this will be a very good run. The same way I couldn't read Superior Spider-Man, I cannot read this. I guess I haven't changed. But Norman Osborn cannot be the star of a book that I'm reading. I just can't do it.
Read that Osborn, Evil Incarnate. It's good stuff.
Maybe I'll.
But in that one, he's actually a villain.
True. Yeah.
Like, it's, it is what it says on the tin. Like,
yeah. I mean, in terms of talking about what happens in this book, it's sort of a lot of Norman's internal monologue dealing with what we're talking about right now. And then him fighting Jack-o'-lantern, who is the jobber of, like, anyone who's not Spider-Man that needs a jobber gets Jack-o'-lantern. Except Spider-Man gets, like, Shocker.
Agent Venom. This was like his Green Goblin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, which I really enjoyed. That was
Me
pretty
too.
cool.
Yeah, I love Jack-o'-lantern there.
But yeah, all that's good. Like I was pleased to see Jack-o'-lantern. I'm always happy to see that kind of C-list Spider-Man villain appear. It's very fun for me. But yeah, like all respect to the creators involved. I think the craft is great. This is where my ride ends with Gold Goblin. And maybe I'll hear that it's so good from Tyler down the road that I'll say, you know what? I got to go back and buy the trade. But all these years down the line, I have not done that with Superior Spider-Man.
Oh,
Is it,
is this Spider-Man related? Like this hardiness, I guess.
Dude, here's the thing, bro. Spider-Man is like he's probably the hero I care about most in terms of like when I read about what's happening in their life, I care most about what's happening to Peter Parker. And his enemies hurt him very personally. And since I care about him so much, I can't look past what they've done to him to accept them in any other role. I don't feel like his villains can be redeemed. Like I can't read Joker because I'm not allowed to, but I have a cousin called Bean Sartley that did read Joker and said it was great. And I like that. That sounds good. What?
How's Bean doing these days?
Wonderful. Loving the new Joker book that came out.
Oh, good for Bean.
Goddamn poor is how he's doing.
But I think for Joker, or rather for Peter, it's different. I think Norman is too cruel of a man, and I don't believe, and I think we know for a fact that he didn't start being a bad guy when he took the Goblin serum. He's not the Lizard. He's not any of those people. He's not even Eddie Brock, who was just a creep and a sleaze before Venom entered his life. He's a bad man, and I can't read about that.
But I feel like this is what that book's doing and saying, like, he's not good, and this getting his sins eaten doesn't cure him. I don't
but
know.
he wants it.
I'll report back to you.
Fair enough.
I'm very Norman biased though, so like
I love Norman. If this book was about Norman Osborn, right? But he was just bad, and that was the premise. That I would read.
If it was a $7 Green Goblin book, Bean Sartley would be all over this.
Yeah, my cousin would eat it up.
Yeah. He'd be goblining it up.
I'm gonna pass. Like it's a really, really strong comic book. If you don't have that same bias that I do, I encourage you to buy it. Christopher Cantwell's doing great work. I think the art's solid too. But for me, I cannot continue with this comic.
For me, it's a pull. But like that's also like my top 3 are Daredevil, Doctor Doom, and Green Goblin. Those are my big 3 right there. So like, take that with a grain of salt. Wait, my 4th is Cyclops.
That's your top 3?
Yeah, and then add Cyclops to 4.
What's wrong with his top 3?
We should do this as a show. Like, have you guys ever done that as a show?
Nuts.
No, we haven't.
That's a
fun.
That is evergreen. A wild combination, is what I'm saying.
Guilt, I guess, is involved in most of them. So, says a lot about me.
All right, so you're obviously pulling this. Kale?
I might wait out the trade. This didn't do anything for me.
Okay, fair enough.
I one criticism real quick. That suit, not feeling it. That's not a good suit.
It's nasty.
Well, see, I like the suit.
Oh, all right.
Is this guy? Is this a new Kamen Rider villain you're talking about?
It sure looks like one.
Yeah, he literally looks like a Power Ranger.
Yeah.
Like if that were a Power Ranger suit, that'd be pretty sick. But the fact that it's old Normie
that is
in
a
there,
Power Ranger suit.
Yeah.
I don't like how he's got the friggin' Eye of N'Zoth on the top of the glider, like it's like some weird Lovecraftian stuff going on there with like an old god's eye.
World of
Eye of
Warcraft
Mordor.
reference.
Is that a better reference? I don't know. Sorry, I got Warcraft in the brain right now. So,
did you get into the beta for Dragonflight?
It comes out next, like in 2 weeks. It's the pre-patch is live, Sean. We're in it right now.
Oh, okay. All right,
but yes, I did get into the beta. I just don't play betas because I don't like replaying things.
I feel that. I am excited for the Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur book that they teased in here, though. The ad for that book. So I'll be buying Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur #1.
Those books have been pretty fun when previously it came out. I think I liked the first volume. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good cards too in Marvel Snap.
Yo, that's why I'm excited. I'm
Yeah,
not
I
even
knew
gonna
it.
lie to
I
you.
knew it, yeah.
Yep. My brain has been snapped, so I'm all in on that game. But that's it for our reviews. Hopefully you enjoyed them. But we're not done. The show's not over. Because up next, we have Comics Tag, where every single week one of us tags another one of us to read a book that we choose. And that person has to come on the show and give their thoughts on that book. And then they get the power to tag someone else. So last week, Marco tagged Tyler and then did not show up to listen.
Dipped, so like I'm going to talk about
Imagine
friggin'
that.
I Am a Hero by Kengo Hanazawa, but have you guys read it? Probably not.
Ooh.
No, I haven't.
No.
I listened to the almost the entire synopsis on a trip to Chicago with Bouchard though.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I feel like I know it.
Granted, he gave me the first volume. I didn't get through the full first volume. I have a Warcraft patch out, but I did read the first 2 issues of it. And I will say, it is the claustrophobia that Hanazawa manages to inject into this book is you feel it. The first 2 issues, I think towards the latter half of the second issue, he finally leaves the house, but like this dude is like locked in his house. The angles that he chooses to illustrate things in are very weird. Recently passed, but Kim Jung-gi, an artist known for some weird ass perspective. I got a lot of that out of this. There's some grudge-like horror in this as well that I thought was really good. Will I keep reading it? Maybe on a plane or something like that. I got maybe a lot of American books to keep reading. But I recognize that it's good. But
maybe when Dragonflight gets boring.
So like 2 weeks in. But yeah, yeah. This is it's good craft. I will probably I think I'll read it eventually.
Okay.
I guess it's my turn to tag someone, right?
Indeed.
And luckily Sean's here.
Oh, what do you got for me?
So so I'll admit my tag was gonna be mean.
Why? I've never ever given you a bad tag.
Well, I like to tag with a book that comes out next week. And it just so happens to be that Miracle Man #2 comes out next week.
Nah,
so
dude. I would have had to
tempted.
protest.
I was tempted. But I figured you'd protest and it'd be a whole thing and it'd be a mess. So I'm going to give you a boon here.
All right.
I'm going to force you to read that Riddler issue. Because I want to know your opinion on it. And I've been annoyed the fact that I have not heard your take on it so far.
Yeah.
So
all right. Okay. I like that.
Now you have
tag.
a reason to get to that to read pile.
So Tyler has tagged me to read One Bad Day, Riddler #1, Tom King, Mitch Gerrard's. I will do that, and I will present my thoughts here on the show next Wednesday if you wanted to catch us live,
which I won't be here for. But I'll listen.
Tag and dip.
Yeah.
So
tag and dip.
I did want to say before we get into Pals Pulls, I did want to say huge shout out to YouTube. All you guys watching live and all the comments, you guys have been great. So thank you for that. And keep that up. We really appreciate it. Twitch too, you guys are awesome. Keep showing up live. We love the interplay on this show, on all of our shows if we're doing them live. But even if you don't want to catch them live, just tune in. We appreciate it. Subscribe wherever you can. We appreciate all that support and cool stuff like that. Tyler, why don't you bring us home with Pals Pulls?
Yeah, so Pals Pulls, I apparently picked the most blurry picture of this cover. But Once Upon a Time at the End of the World is a new Jason Aaron book. With Lee Lowridge and the picture is so blurry I can't even see who the artist is anymore. Someone vamp for me while I Look up the
I,
artist.
I actually remember we talked about this on the show,
Yep.
and it's like a different artist every issue type of thing, so that's pretty cool. I'm actually really excited for this too. I can't
It's
remember.
Boom. Geez, this is
It's a boom book. Yeah.
fucking Lee
Alexander Tefenki.
Loffridge, Nick
Oh
Dragotta,
Yeah.
Rico Renzi,
hmm
Alexander. I can't read that second one. Alexander Tefeni.
The Fengi, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
gonna be
just-
good.
I haven't read a Jason Aaron creator-owned book in a while. Remember
I
Southern
never have.
Bastards? That book ended great. Definitely ended great. That definitely had an ending. That book, and it wasn't derailed by anything else. Yeah.
What are you
it didn't-
alluding to?
It didn't. It
was.
never ended. They never finished it.
They really never finished
Yeah,
it.
and then there was some Latour stuff that happened.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, that never finished.
It's Latour you don't like, right, Sean? Or is it Aaron?
What do you mean? I like everybody.
Right.
Next
okay.
book,
Just
Marvel.
checking. Yeah,
So
just
Doctor
checking.
Strange. This was what is the subtitle? This Fall Sunrise. There we go. This was my pick and also Kale's pick, because it's Trad Moore
yeah.
doing fucking Doctor Strange. Like that's all.
Come on. And this, I mean, even the cover alone looks so cool.
It does.
It's Trad Moore style, and it's got these flat colors. There's almost no shading on this cover at all. It just looks so cool. I have no idea what it's gonna be, but it's gonna be entirely Trad Moore. And listen, after Luther Strode and
Love that.
Ghost Rider, I'm
Silver
in,
Surfer
man.
Black. Yeah,
I see. I didn't read that. I should have.
it's crazy. I don't mean this as a knock, but this cover kind of feels like when I was a kid, I'd use MS Paint, and I would just use like
Yeah.
the tool to like make a whole bunch of like lines and
It-
stuff, and I would fill in with different colors.
Paulina Ganeshow recently rejoined Tumblr, and she posted a side by side of a book she's working on now with it's her OCs now versus in when she was 13 or whatever, and this looks a lot like her OCs when she was 13.
But I love a good stylized Tradmore book.
Yeah.
Then Kale, you also picked the aforementioned Miracle Man #2. We're almost at the new issues. 3 is the new issue, right? I believe 3 would be the unreleased issue. These were the remade ones. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we're almost there.
I'm still here. I want to see what's
Me too.
up. I want to see what's going on. I like Miracle Man, so
Me too. I'm actively looking for an affordable copy of the omnibus at this point. I also pre-ordered a
luck.
Savage Dragon omnibus. So 2022 comic book Tyler is a changed man.
well,
Is he,
I
though?
feel like I know your influences, and I don't know about this.
Oh no, this is bad influence. Oh no.
Yeah,
All right. Well, that's something
you
to talk
you
about
just
in therapy
said
next week.
you're looking for an affordable omnibus, and you've ordered a Savage
all right,
Dragon
all right.
omnibus.
All right, Dad. All right. Well, Sean, Human Target, Book 9, Tom King, Greg Smallwood. We didn't talk about Book 8, but
Yeah, we didn't talk about book 8, but I actually read book 8 anyway, and it was phenomenal. So, I mean, I see this cover, right? No, we didn't. I see this cover for 9, and it's got Human Target in the shadow of Batman. So I'm really excited. For some reason, this reminds me of like Scooby-Doo team up and Batman coming on board. I'm really
Sure.
pumped. I'm interested to see what Tom King has to say about Batman in this context. Because this is very different than like mainline, continuity stuff. So I'm looking forward to it.
the art of the cover is giving me kind of vibes of like early Hollywood movie posters, like a bit of Vertigo. I forget the guy's the artist's name, but yeah, this I like the cover a lot. I have to read 8 though, so
Yeah. Cool. That's it. That's all we got.
Marco ain't here. He don't get nothing. So
That's
You
right.
don't get nothing.
Them's the breaks. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Palace Pulls. We really appreciate you. If you want to submit a book for the listener pick for next week's episode or ever, all you have to do is leave us a comment. It doesn't matter where it is. We'll see it. And if it's at the Comics Pals somewhere, if it's a YouTube comment, if it's on our Discord server, we'll see it. And we will add that to the list and we'll pick whichever one we want to do. Thank you for those of you who submitted Gold Goblin this week, and we look forward to seeing what you guys pick next week. On Wednesday, if you wanted to catch us live, we will be live on Wednesday, not Thursday, on Twitch and YouTube at the Comics Pals. Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern for the main show. So come hang around for that. We're going to be interviewing Casper Wingard and oh my God, I'm blanking. Alex Packnadell. Thank you so much.
I got it.
Looking forward to that.
That's why you have co-host.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, come join us for that and all the fun stuff we've got coming down the pike. Thank you for listening. Until next